Good afternoon, everyone. Do you hear me well? Hello. I'm quite glad to be again here to share with you what a little bit of business analysis and a little bit more than business analysis. Personally, and many of the business analysts I know consider that learning it's like a duty and more than a duty of a business analyst. And you can discover that you can learn from everything from books, as most of my the speakers that spoke today said that you can learn from books a lot of things, but you can also learn from your projects, from your colleagues, and from daily tasks, daily activities. In the late, starting 2015, so I started to do a lot of sports, and especially running marathons. And doing sports, I started to learn about sports and discovered there are a lot of things that sports and our business analysts and lives and also the daily lives have a lot of things in common. And one day, just watching a relay race. Do you know what a relay race is? You take turns and you have a baton that you pass from one to another. Okay, so I was watching for the first time a 4x400 race, and I was amazed about what was happening. So because they have like 20 meters, only 20 meters on that stadium where they can pass from one to another the baton. And it's a very important task that has to be done smoothly and perfectly, because otherwise they cannot finish, they are disqualified. And it was like magic. It was, I realized that behind all that magic, it's a lot of strategy, a lot of planning, and more than that, a lot of preparation. And it was the passing that was so smoothly and so magically that made me think about how we are passing our knowledge from one to another, how we can do it in the same magical and easy way, because to let somebody know what you are knowing or learn from others is not an easy task, especially in a business environment. And the question is, let's see how that strategy can be put in place, and how can we, let's say, put in a frame what we need to do. Somebody told the colleague before me said about the onboarding of the business analyst. How do you do it? You need a framework. You just cannot just give him read. And it said about putting the business analyst up to speed to be equal with the other that have experience. Let's see how can this be done. But that was one of the cases, but there are many moments when when the load of the knowledge needs to be transferred from one person to another. And one example is when two organizations are merging, because in that moment, people from both organizations need to think how they can do better things together, learn from one to another. They have to make the systems talk between them. So they need to learn and exchange information. Then is the moment when you are changing your position in the company, because the place you had until that moment is not left empty, never. So you have to have a succession plan. You have to have a list and maybe an agenda to prepare somebody to take over your position. You have to teach that person. That person needs to learn from you. And after that, I don't know, but in Romania and most in Europe, we have a lot of inspection from government bodies, from finance minister and so on. And you have a very, very short period of time when you have to prove that you are in line with the regulation. They come with questions to you, and you have to teach them how you are doing your business and to prove that you are doing it right. After that, you have what we talked before, to onboard a new member in the team. It has to be smooth and fast. You can have KPIs, you can have the definition of done of how you have onboarded that person, if it's well onboarded or not. And after that, it's the not so happy case when an employee is leaving the organization. And it can happen in the good ways, and the person is, okay, I leave everything in place when I go, and I finish all my project, I pass all the knowledge. But also is the case I'm just leaving tomorrow because I want so. And in this case, the enterprise itself, the organization, need to have some framework put in place with long time before to capture information that might leave unexpectedly the company. And then it's you as a business analyst, us as business analysts. We onboard on projects, we are leaving the project. And it's our perspective and it's the perspective of the organization. From my perspective, I need to learn as quickly as possible what I have to do in that project, what are the goals of that project. And if the company cannot teach me that, it is my duty to have a checklist to learn as quickly as possible. And when I leave the organization, if I'm a good business analyst that want to continue my relation, and I'm not going to take that knowledge with me, I'm going to share it, to leave it behind in a way that is easily usable. And after that, it's me as an organization that I have employed a consultant business analyst. That consultant's time costs a lot of money. So I have to make sure I'm correctly using its time. So I have to teach him very quickly about my company, about the goal of the project. And I need to make sure that when he leaves me that knowledge. It doesn't take it with him. So these all are elements, are moments when the knowledge needs to pass from one person to another. And always the time is very short. So that's why I'm making the comparison with the relay race, are only 20 meters. So, but just to come again, a thing. Passing knowledge transfer is not about just reading documents. So that's just a very small piece of the top of the iceberg. So there is more than that. Before talking about how we pass from one to another the knowledge, let's see what is that knowledge. And each of us has a different definition of that knowledge. The one that I feel most relevant, and it's for me, is the experience I gathered during the years, the things that I learned in school. And everything I learned from colleagues, from friends, from books, and from projects are all facts and experience, and they belong to me, to no one else, only to me. And to share it with somebody, it's not quite easily. You need to know how to teach others. So what type of knowledge do we transfer? When we are onboarding a new team member, what type of information should we give to him? The easy one are the explicit, the documents. Please read what we have put here. Please follow these guidelines. These are the rules of setting up a meeting. You have them in written, you respect them. But when we are talking about touched information, it's something that people know and they're in their minds, and it's not always easy to teach others about it. Before we go on, let's come back to the fact that we are business analysts, and everything for which we need to find a solution or to propose an approach, a framework, has to be done in a certain way, so to have a good outcome. The first thing, it's about the context. Nothing happens in void, nothing happens in like perfect environment where no friction and nothing like that. So always keep in mind where you are, if you are in a school, if you are in an enterprise, if you are in a governmental body. What is the context, what are the rules, what is the organization culture there? After that, you have the person in front of you has his own experience, his own knowledge. So you have to adapt to his level, or make him come to his level. So you always adapt your speech, you always adapt the information that you are passing on. After that, you have to build trust. It's a requirement for a business analyst, because if that person trusts you, he will consider and will use with trust the information that you are passing. And how we can build trust? In the moment you are asked a question, just answer the question openly. If you cannot answer the question, you say, okay, I cannot do that. But always be open and show that you do whatever it's necessary to give the best solution to the person in front of you, even if you just want to say, I'm going to give you the best knowledge possible. And as you not transferring the knowledge to the void, you transfer it to a person or to a team. You need to build a relation beside building the trust. So be prepared to have the forming, storming, norming, and performing when you make the knowledge transfer. Okay, so how should we do it? Because as I said, you need preparation and you need strategy. First of all, you have to plan the knowledge: what, how, where. And then you have to practice with your colleagues. Even that person might already know what you knew. You have to practice it because practice does perfect. Then you'll have to really teach somebody or learn from somebody. And in the end, you need to see, okay, how good I am at this. Can I be better? And let's say about the first one, planned knowledge transfer. To whom we are passing the knowledge. Think of, you will not know the person that will join your team. You perhaps do not know the company where you are going to work as a consultant. So try to picture the person. Make a persona, make a portrait. What type of knowledge are you going to pass? To what type of information? It will be something that is written, nicely written, something from different areas. It will be like a puzzle put together, or maybe a puzzle that is just in the box. How to capture, how to build the pieces of the puzzle? From where do you take them in order to pass them on? How do you pass them on? And after all, the definition of done. How do we know that we really pass the knowledge? How do we know that we really learn what we had to learn? Okay, so coming to asking ourselves to whom we are going to pass the information. And it depends on who that person is and what position it is holding in the company. If it's a manager, usually he just needs to know that, okay, the processes are there, that are the KPIs, so the company works perfectly, and I just need to know the pie charts at the end of the month. Then, when you talk with a peer, who's a peer for you? I'm, let's say, IT management, and he's sales management. He needs to know as much as the manager, the top manager, but afterwards he needs to know how the sales department interacts with the IT department. He needs to know the interfaces, the type of information that goes from one point to another. So he needs to know the interaction, the point. So add this type of information when you share. And then your team member, the team member needs to know everything that goes in the department. How the department, what are the processes, what are the rules. And more than that, he needs to know how his department interface with the one around. How the IT interfaces with sales or with marketing or with production. That they need to know the interfaces, because this way he'll be able to give solution and to resolve problem. And then when we are talking about the consultant, he's from outside. Give him the managerial information, give him a little bit of the interfaces, and he will know how to zoom in and ask you question the moment you present him the problem, the goal for which you brought him here there. And when it comes to regulatory body, meaning the audit from finance minister or similar things, they will come with an agenda. Try to find the agenda before. And in the moment they are there, just answer the question, so give them the information. After that, let's see by seniority. So you can have juniors or you have experts. When an expert comes, if you just present him the big picture, he will understand and will be able to focus, and he will challenge you. Why is like this and why is not like that? Then when you talk with somebody that is a practitioner, he will be able to see the big picture, and where he will not understand, he will ask you. So do not have the same speech in front of a practitioner and in front of an expert. Maybe you do not know if it's a practitioner or an expert, but as you talk to him, you'll understand, you'll see what his level is. And when it comes to a junior, teach him, take him step by step, give him a small problem to solve, and then see how it goes and build from there. What type of knowledge? There are two worlds, the internal world of the company and the external one. No matter what is your position in the company, you need to know where your company sits, what is around it in the world. So you have to know the competition. You have to know the rules by which the industry you are working in it's governed. And also you need to know your partners and the vendors. As partners, think you are a marketing design company. You do beautiful pictures for websites and you are very creative, but you need some IT company behind you to build the site for you. So there is a good partnership and you have to know the partners. And after that, you need to know the vendors. You might need licenses for Adobe. And you need to know the market, what is your concurrence. Internally, if I'm somebody from the, if I'm working in a company, even if I'm just a developer, I need to know, or if I'm just a business analyst or whatever, I need to know the strategy and the vision of the company, because to know that every piece of work I'm doing adds some value to that of the company. I need to know the departments, maybe not all of them, but at least the ones that are around me and the big ones. I need to know the organizational structure, because if I need to find some information, to know which are the paths that will take me to that information. I need to know the main products and the flow of values and the tools of the trade. And then we go specific about department and about projects. In the department, we need to know our colleagues, what they are, their functions, and which are the processes, the roadmap, the KPIs, and also about the project as much as possible. You have to present this information. Take it as a checklist that you have to have in front of you in the moment that there is a colleague coming, or when you as a business analyst working in a outsourcing company, you go to the client to find to take the specification. Go with this list, with this checklist in your hands to learn as much as possible about that company, because what they are going to tell you, I need this, that need of theirs, it is in a context, and this type of checklist will help you understand the context and provide a better solution for them. Because unless you understand where that solution will be, what it stands around it, you'll never be able to give a good solution. Have it as a checklist. Also the personas, the person that you are going to encounter, think if they are, what their position, what's their seniority. Adapt your speech to that person. It's your business analyst checklist. Okay, I did that, it's okay, I did not. Learn, and in the same way, when you onboard a colleague, present them in the same way. Because he will learn also the checklist, and it will help him. It's a type of knowledge that you pass. Then, what knowledge? The explicit one that is written in different documents, it's very easy. It is there, it is written, it's not a problem. Easy to share. Then it is the tacit one, which is information that people learn during the years from all the experience that made up their lives. And then it's the nicely embedded knowledge that is very hard to pinpoint, and it's all over the place. Think of the financial process. Sometime in the past, a consultant or maybe somebody for finance department made a change in the process. And because they were experts and the change is very good, but it's nowhere documented. The process works like this, but no one knows why and how. So be in a look for this type of embedded embedded knowledge. Things that no one knows that it works like that, and it worked like that from since forever, but nobody asks the question why. You as a business analyst go there and ask, look, why is like this, and try to find out. At least if you won't find a cause, at least you'll be able to know there is some embedded information that we'll need at some point to clear. And it is, the explicit information is very easy to pass. Then the tacit one, and the most difficult is to deal with embedded information. But try to figure it out where it is. And if you discover in a process such type of information, write it down and pass it on. I realized that you know a lot about the Babok, and I know that it was also translated in Russian, which is a nice thing. I was impressed when I heard about it. And I know that it will be published on paper soon. And what I put here, I took the techniques, and I said, what would help me pass the different type of knowledge from, or to learn the different type of knowledge. So this matrix, it's like, from my experience, and I propose it to you also as a checklist, and a living document, a living tool for you to adapt it as you need. Because when we are talking about the explicit and explicit organizational information about how the organization works, what are the objectives, and what are the functionalities, it's easy. Also about the technical thing, it is written there, it's explicit, you can find it. When it comes to technical tacit information, like things that the experts know, so the best programmer you have, the best business analyst knows to do, he can teach, he can start drawing a mind map of how to do things and teach others. What is more difficult to take also from the organizational part of the company, you have a mind map, you have process modeling, business rule analysis, business model canvas. I think that one, it will give you the most accurate information, a good starting point for drawing out the tacit knowledge in an organization. How to do about passing this knowledge? Always starting from the business analyst body of knowledge. So organizational explicit, always easy. It's exploratory document analysis about the company, and also you can put that information in a narration by storyboards. Technical, it's about the job assistance and just follow some written steps which are guidelines, and so it's very easy. You can teach the tacit information, put the best business analyst in your team to make a presentation to explain the others, and also this way will make him realize the tacit knowledge that he holds. And shadowing, but when it comes also, then you can have coaching, mentoring, and there is something very nice I like. It's the community of practice, especially where you have a company that have business units around the world, and people need to share information between them. And you can have like a virtual community of practice, and people just discussing there what their problems are and how they overcome them. It's even, you have the definition of done about user story, but passing the knowledge is a user story. Me, as a knower, need to pass the information to apprentice. So how do we make this? You have to put the definition of done. And there are a couple of examples. You have to adapt them to what you are trying to teach, what you are trying to learn yourself. So you can say it in IT, after 2 weeks of training, implement successfully to task, or user story for the next sprint to be done correctly. Just put a definition of done every moment, because otherwise you will not know where to stop teaching, where to stop learning, and it cannot be forever. as I said, everything happens in a context. There are no such things like happening in the void. And me as an organization, if I'm saying my people do not know how to teach other, do not share, it's because me as a company did not put something in place. So don't be mad of no knowledge transfer when you put nothing in place. Because it is important, you as a person, to have a mindset for knowledge sharing, but also the company you are working, the organization, the context, to help you do this sharing. And one thing will be the role rotations. I'm not saying to move somebody from engineering to sales, but you can move from sales to marketing. You can move a developer to business analysis. It will be a little bit difficult to put it the other way around. Think about where you can move people from one team to another to understand that team. Encourage the community of practice. Then, brown bag lunch. Try to eat together, not necessarily in a restaurant. I know smoking is not a good thing, but it helps a lot in sharing information. If it's not smoking, you can have a pool table or anything like this, because that's 10 minutes that you take from your job and speak with somebody from another department will help you be open to share, not necessarily the fact that you exchange in that moment information, but the fact is you are open, you know to talk, you know to be open. Peer review. This is, okay, I've written a document, I'm not sure about it, and I want to present it to a customer. I go and ask a colleague. And the colleague will know that next time he can come to me and ask the same question, and will get the same type of help. So be helpful and be open to have your work reviewed. I know that sometimes for the developers, I was one myself, for many years, it is difficult to accept that, okay, your code is no, but there is the code review that should be done at the end of each sprint, and it's a great thing to have in place. Information radiators. Instead of having on your, it is great to have the values of the company on all the walls, but it's better to have whiteboards. And on those whiteboards to put stickers, to write things, to ask questions, and it will help you a lot. A wall with a picture helps, but a empty wall where you can write helps even more, and it will increase the openness and the courage to ask questions and the courage to accept advice, because sometimes this is difficult. And then show and tell, present, okay, this is our achievements this month. These are our pains with the project, please help. So it doesn't need to be formal, informal, like sitting, I don't know how you call this in English, where we call them puffs. Informal way, just a person to say, okay, in these 2 months we work on this, that it was good because, or we are facing this problem. So be open with your colleagues, and you as a company should encourage this type of openness. And be ready to train your colleagues. Sometimes it's good to bring in like a consultant that it's a guru and knows a lot of things. But it's even better if one of your colleagues starts learning something, and after he's confident enough, he shows to his colleagues, and after they will teach each other. Because somebody told me once that if I want to learn something, I have to teach others that thing. And it is great, and it's a great way of learning and sharing. In the moment when you have to pass, now we have to do it. We practice, we prepare, we are open to share information. We know how to learn from others and how to teach others. But now is the moment when we are reaching the 20 meters of the relay race, where we really need to pass the information. We have to have a mentor in that moment. We know that will be time bounded because it cannot take forever. Somebody can leave the company, the consultant will leave the company into weeks, and he has to pass everything on. You need to have a very well defined agenda, and that agenda, it's based on what you are going to pass us information. Do not try to have it perfect from the start. Just write the main topics, and as you speak and as you start preparing and teaching, you'll see that the agenda will increase, and you put more things there, and you'll say, okay, this you can continue learning by yourself. Always select and adapt the information to the receiver. Remember the persona, the person, have the picture. What is his position? What is his expertise level? What is going to be his job? And come again to build the relation, because otherwise, if you do not know where you stand with the person to which you are passing that knowledge, you will not know how to react. And after all this is done, okay, I learned, you taught. Let's say how well it was. First of all, how it was the information assimilated. So what you can look at the body language of the person with which you are talking. If he stops and stop you should stop also and see why he stopped. What is your flow of thoughts? Why your flow of thoughts does not reach him? What's the problem? What's the stop there? Ask input. Okay, how after the session, how did you feel it? But not immediately after a coffee or so. It was what you expected to be. Adjust as knowledge is passed, because if you see that that person is quite an expert, you do not lose time and you just pass to the next thing. And as I mentioned before, that that knowledge that you have there can be as a puzzle, and you can give it away. Okay, just take this puzzle of information, deal with it, or you can build a puzzle together with the person you are teaching. Maybe the information was never formalized in your company, and there is the moment that you can write it correctly. And in the puzzle, you'll find empty spaces. What you can do is, okay, leave it like this, or together with that person, go and find the information that is missing from the puzzle and document it. So take the opportunity in the moment that you teach and you see that there is something missing, to find that information and put it in the right place. And have the knowledge transfer by design. That is the openness and the readiness to share information. The moment that you see something is missing, go and write it down. Go in Confluence, okay, this is not correct. I see it, I modify, not pass on. And what we need to do, and what is our goal when we teach and when we learn, to have something smooth, effective. And it looks from outside that it's smooth and it's perfect, but keep in mind that you have to plan, to practice, to do and improve, because it is effort behind it. A lot of effort. Look at their faces. This is a real picture from a real race. They show all the effort and all the practice and all the strategy that was put in it. So just teaching and boarding a new member, it's not easy stuff. It is quite complicated and has many steps you have to take into account. Thank you. Please. Oh, I need a microphone for you. And I do not have the... Please.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. I would like to ask a question in English. You mentioned that there are high-level experts in your team. They also need to transfer the knowledge.
Ну, если сначала давайте, во-первых, поблагодарю за интересный, мотивирующий доклад.
Thank you.
И теперь сам вопрос. Если в команде есть эксперты, специалисты в предметной области, но они не хотят делиться знаниями, говорят, у нас нет времени, мы заняты своей работой, мы не специалисты по обучению. Как их замотивировать на передачу знаний?
Okay, thank you for raising this point, because it happens many times to have a person that keeps the information for him. And always you have to understand why it's keeping this information for him. Once he might be afraid that he will lose the job the moment he shares. Then he might cover for an issue that he knows there is there. And all, when you need to go to understand. It's not easy. Why it's not sharing the information? If he's afraid of his job and he's a good expert and a good person, you have to work together with HR to show him a path. To give him new opportunities and new challenges because he's an expert, and ask him to have an apprentice to give little by little the information. If that person has that thing that, okay, it's trying to cover something, maybe it's from his fault or from the beginning, from before him, and he's the only one that knows how to deal with it. You need to, as a company, as colleagues, to recognize, okay, to help you recognize that there is a problem, we have to solve it together. So to assume that problem. So thank you very much for this question.
Спасибо.
Please. Now behind you.
Thank you for your lecture. What is the difference between transferring to group and to one person? And the second question is, what is better and in which cases?
Okay.
Я могу на русском еще повторить.
Okay. Group and a person. It depends what it's the scope of knowledge transfer. If you of the teaching, if you are about to onboard on a new project, and you have to have all the team brought to a level, then it's important to have to train them together because they'll grow as a team. So when everybody needs to come to a certain level, then you have to have a group teaching. Everybody will grow as a team and everything will be perfect. If there is one person that you feel that is demotivated in the team, it's new in the team, it's not yet up to level, it's different, but has qualities that you don't want to lose, you target to him. And also, it depends if it's a new person that comes to the team, and if you need to move your position in a company and to leave that knowledge to someone, then you have to do it with one person. So it was there. Okay. Please. Okay.
First of all, thank you very much. So really interesting
Thank you.
Lecture and doklad. So if you, I would like to speak in Russian, but it's
here.
I can speak, but I think that it will be more easy for
Okay.
others. Мне бы хотелось узнать, если ты как project manager, как business analytics and so others roles, знаешь слишком, очень большой у тебя бэкграунд и очень много знаешь о проекте. Как найти ту золотую середину для того, чтобы не перегружать команду, для того, чтобы правильно достичь поставленной цели реализации проекта? Да. Чтобы не давать слишком много деталей, чтобы не было расплывчатого плана для действий, не вдаваться в ненужные реализации, а вот четко про...
Okay. Do you remember what I said about the position of the person at his level of experience? So you can treat every person in the same way. For everybody, draw the big picture, like the one you draw for the managers. And then ask them to zoom in based on their problem. So they will need the big picture. They have in Confluence all the lines. They have in the wiki all the lines. And they need that. I have to do a user story. I have to make a training. I need to study something, to make some research. And he will be able to zoom in. So you guide him. You have a walkthrough. These are the main areas. Okay, it is a little bit more detailed, but try it and ask him to zoom in. He is able to zoom in as you will zoom in as an consultant going in a company, dig where you need to solve the problem. It shows that it's a very good person. So always start with the big picture and zoom. Please.
Okay, thank you so for your presentation. I have a question. Sometimes people are afraid to ask a question. For example, students or so on, and people who are young, who have no experience, afraid to ask something. He tried to figure it out by himself. And how to create an atmosphere or something's way that help them to and help another person in your team to transfer knowledge to this new person who even not ask something.
Okay, it's what I said about the mindset of knowledge. That person, if it's an IT, if it's even a new colleague, will come to you with coffee or so. And if you are the manager of that person or a colleague and you see that he's a little bit like that, you have to use your personal skill and to attract him in some conversation to make him trust you. But you can talk about dog or talk about what you do after work or so on. That person will open up. At some moment will have the courage to come to you and ask the real technical question. And there are persons that are proud and they say, okay, I do not want to ask a question because I look stupid. The first thing I'm saying to the people in my team is, it's not a shame to ask for help. It shows that you are intelligent. So because you realize, okay, there is something that I cannot do alone, and if I try to do alone, it will be bad for everybody. So be open, and when you onboard somebody new, always that's what I'm doing. We have our own table, and that person talks about it, personal things, and we exchange all of us personal things, and we discover. You have no idea how many things you can discover that have in common. Once you have those in common, that person will ask questions with no problems.
Thank you.
The last one.
Thank you very much for the lecture. I'd like to ask about the documentation, the process of passing the documentation, because there are situations, documented knowledge is very important, and you need to really learn it to understand all other things that are passed. So how do you identify that the person who is learning didn't understand what was written in the documents, and how do you explain him about it, because it's a really big portion of information.
I got it. It's true. First of all, it's about how you build a documentation. Usually we have, also for the developers, not only for the developers, some task in the user story. You have to write the documentation, to fill in the wiki. And they are like acceptance criteria for the wiki. That means you have peer review. If somebody else has understood what you have written there, it's great. And usually we are so friendly that we can ask persons from other departments come to read them. And because why? If I write a story so well that somebody that's out of picture understands it, it's great. So this is the rule. We are friendly and we can do that. And so that means it is correctly written. It's from quality. It's covers, and somebody reads with a good heart will understand it. Then, if the person to validate if the person really understood it, you have usually tasks, small tasks at the beginning, and it's based on it. And you validate 1 task, 2 tasks until you build the trust in that person, and then it's okay. So first, how you write them, and then. Thank you very much. And if you loved it, please leave me a smile on the door. Thank you. And yes, you, because it's